Okay, let me call her. She sees she's texting me now.
Hello?
Hey, it says bad, but I hope it's not gonna act a fool. Because I don't know why it changed. All that time we had it, it was fine.
Yeah.
So, but I think I'm scared to close it on my end. I think it might do something, but I think it should work because you have it on your end.
Have what? That? What?
No, have the YouTube open on your end. Let me shut everything though. We're ready in 2 seconds as soon as I force quit.
No problem.
Okay, I closed everything. Okay, Liz.
Okay, what?
Whenever you're ready, hit start streaming.
Oh, okay.
You just gotta tell me when though.
Make sure you want to start streaming the live event. Okay, I'm doing it now. Oh, wait.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna get my books.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Ask Dr. Renee show, and I am your host, Dr. Renee. And tonight, this is a show literally here to motivate and inspire you to live the life that you deserve. Let's face it, everybody wants to live the life that they deserve, and some people don't have a clue how to do it, and they don't know how others are doing it. So I wanted to bring this show to help you to see how other people are doing it so that you can maybe do that in your life. We've been on a very long hiatus. Our last show was actually in August. So I'm so excited to be back. We have new technology. So as you see, things look a little different than what they used to look like, but it's okay. We adapt. And so tonight, I'm really excited. Our guest tonight is Tiffany Aliche, better known as the Budgetnista. And that's her website, too. You can find her everywhere at the Budgetnista. And she just has a really amazing story of how she was a preschool teacher, got herself out of debt, raised her credit score really, really high, and then now she's making over 6 figures. So I am so excited that we get to talk to her tonight. If you guys haven't noticed already, there is a live chat available that was not available before with our new with this new technology. So please definitely check out the live chat. And hold on, she doesn't see anything. Oh, it says starting soon. Hold on. I know there's a slight delay, but it should be there by now. Okay, we're good. So, you guys, this is, like I said, this is the first time with this new technology, so bear with me, and we should be able to get it crack-a-lacking pretty quickly here. So, I am so excited. Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Renee. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Good. I'm really good. I'm glad to be here.
Groovy, groovy. And I saw that you just did an amazing webinar. Just like literally just ended.
I did a debt-free. I had to get debt-free webinar for my dream catchers. So Beyonce has the Beehive. We have the dream catchers. It's just folks that are working with me to get their finances on track.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. Yes, and I am a dream catcher, so I'm very familiar. Love that group. And it's amazing. And it's funny how I see so many people that I know in the group. It's hilarious. So,
dream catcher.
Oh, look, I love it. So, Tiffany, first of all, tell us, you were born here in the United States, right? But you come from Nigerian parents, right?
Yes.
And
both parents were born and raised in a small village in Nigeria.
Okay. And how many kids are in your family?
There are 5 girls. I'm the second oldest girl.
Okay. So how did you, in growing up, first of all, what did your parents do for a living? Because I think it's important for people to understand they're regular people.
Yeah, so my dad went to school for finance, and he became an accountant, and then worked his way up eventually to become a CFO of a nonprofit in Newark, New Jersey. And my mom was a nurse, and she's still a nurse. She's a school nurse now.
Okay. And so, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
So and then I became that. But like every little girl plays school. I always played school. I was super bossy and such a know-it-all, and I kind of still am. And so I like telling people what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And so yeah, I wanted to be a teacher.
That's cool. So what school did you go to?
I went to Rutgers University. Well, first I went to Montclair State, but then I got my first ever bad grade. My dad, I went to Rutgers at first. My dad yanked me home after getting a bad grade, and I ended up commuting and going to Montclair State. And then I got my master's from Seton Hall University in education.
Okay. So when you graduated from school, did you have a job right out of school, or did you have a
lapse? I had a bunch of internships because I had gone to school. My undergrad degree is business with a concentration in marketing. And I had internships every summer, and every summer I hated it, even though they were paying good money. I think I was making like $20 an hour. So, back then that was big money.
Right.
It's good money now, shoot. And I hated them. And then they offered me a job right out of college. It was like maybe $50,000 a year. And that was, like I said, that's good money now. And I remember being like, but I don't want my summer to be the rest of my life. I hate it here. And then I had the opportunity to be a teacher, a preschool teacher at this small center in Newark. And it was $35,000. So it was like $50,000, job you hate, $35,000, job that you potentially will love, but still have to live home because it's not enough. Because Jersey is expensive. So I ended up taking the job that I was potentially, I didn't even take a job that was paying me $35 at the time. I was making like, the first year I moved home, I was making maybe like $14 an hour as a teacher's assistant. It took me a year to find that $35,000 a year job. So even then I took it even more of an L, but it was worth it because I knew that making more money wasn't going to necessarily make me happier.
People need to hear that. Money, it really does not buy happiness.
No, it's a magnifier. Money makes you more of what you already are. So if you are stingy, you will be stingier with money. If you are generous, you'll be more generous. If you are on drugs, you're going to take more of them. If you are so money will magnify where you currently are. And so I recognized very early on that I did not want to choose I didn't want to choose what I wanted to do with my life. I really wanted to choose how I wanted to live. So I hate that question. What do you want to be when you grow up? You're going to be a lot of what? But I wanted to ask myself, how did you want to live? How do I want to live? And I knew I wanted freedom. I knew I wanted to travel. I knew I wanted natural hair and to wear Converse all the time. So I chose my life based upon my how.
That is smart. And a lot of people don't do that. And I think that, because when I'm a Girl Scout leader, so when I talk to kids, I try to get into them to please figure out what you like to do, what you love to do, because then you could figure out how to live doing that. And not be miserable.
Yeah.
And be very happy. Because, so many people, you hear they were about to retire and they died right before retirement or they died right after.
Yeah. What are you waiting on? Like, life is now.
Right,
there
exactly.
is nothing promised. And I did not want to wait until this age or time or whatever to start enjoying myself, And for a long time, I was definitely a delayed gratifier. Like, I'm not, some people have the trouble where they're instant gratification. You could actually go in the opposite direction, which is what I did. So some people are like, oh my gosh, as soon as I get $1, I spend it. Or like, I want a pleasure now. I'm someone who delays gratification almost to a point where it's negative, where I will wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And it's like, no, live now.
Well, in all my episodes, I usually say, you need to live life right now because this is not a dress rehearsal. You will not have another chance. You need to live it today. Whatever it is you need to do, go and do it today. Do not wait. Because I was one of those people, too, that was like, well, when I get this, then I'll do that. And when I do this, then I'll do that.
Yep.
And actually, my little sister, my play little sister here in Chicago, she is actually asked me to write the foreword of her book. She did a video, Everyday Entrepreneur. It's Renee. She did a video yesterday and talked about how women never celebrate their wins, and that's exactly it. You something great happens, and you so worried about thinking about the next thing that you completely forgot that you just did something really awesome.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that. So when you graduated from school, I'm sure like everybody else, you had student debt.
Yep.
So what was your process? Okay, because obviously you did have the jobs making this big money, but then you took the smaller paying job. How were you going to get out of this?
So thankfully, when I went to my father bringing me home to live at home and commute meant that my student loan debt wasn't as high as it would have been had I lived on campus on Rutgers. So I actually, after 2 years after graduating, I paid off my undergraduate debt because it wasn't much. It was maybe like, I want to say like $10,000 that I actually ended up owing. But then when I went to get my graduate degree, I incurred like $50,000 worth of debt, which I still have. So my undergrad degree is paid for. My graduate degree I'm still paying for. Because honestly, one of the things I did was, and this is really critical, I planned. So I said, okay, I didn't just take the job and say, oh, I'll make less money. No, I wrote down a plan and said, okay, if I make this amount of money, I still want to move out. There's still things I want to do like the rest of my peers. I want a car. I want to move out. Those are my 2 goals. Can I still get those goals if I take the job that I like? And so I did the math. I said, okay, at the time, like I said, I was making, I think like 14 or 12 bucks an hour, something like that. And I was making $1,400 a month back then, versus what I would have made maybe like $2,000 or $3,000 a month if I had taken the big job. And so I said $1,400 a month. I wrote down all my bills, and my bills were $500 a month because I was living home. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to pay food, And I think I used to like take the train or walk to work. And so I said, okay, that's a $900 savings. So every pay period, I would take $450 and put it into my savings account. And the $500 included like fun money. So I gave myself $25 a week for fun money. And so for a year, I lived like that. $25 a week for fun money. And I saved my $900 a month for a $450 every 2 weeks. And then at the end of the year, I had $10,800. And I told my father, I want a car. And he was like, well, cars cost money. I said, I have money. He's like, you have money, right? I didn't say it like that, though, because, you don't talk like a black parent.
Right.
And so I said, no, I have money. And so I showed him that I had been saving, because my dad was my first financial teacher as someone who has his master's in economics and his bachelor's in finance. He taught me how to budget. So I showed him how I had been budgeting, and I had $10,800. But I didn't want to spend it all on a car, so he took me. This was a critical lesson. I thought he was going to take me to go to get a new car, put a down payment, make payments. He said, no, that I'm going to take you to a lot. A friend of mine is a dealer. It's going to take you to this lot, and then at the lot, you could either pick a car from here, or he'll take you to the dealer auction, and you could pick a car. And I found a car. It was 2 years old, and it was a '99 Nissan Altima. 2 years old, and I paid $5,000 for that car, for a 2-year-old car. And Altimas, a Nissans, Camrys, there's certain cars that like really last a long time. And so basically I spent half of the money I had saved on a car. Now I have no car note. Right. I have no car note. On top of that, I had my license for a while. So my because I had paid for my car in full, I didn't get full coverage, because if you're making payments on a car, you have to get full coverage. That's the law in New Jersey. But I didn't have to get full coverage, just liability. So my car insurance was, I think, $52 a month. So we're my friends now. Here, me and my friends, we both start out here making money straight out of college. Now, I want a car, you want a car. I get a car, pay for it in full. My monthly payments are now $52 a month. That's insurance. Friend gets a car note, $200, car insurance, $200. I'm paying $52 to drive. You're paying $400 to drive. Right? See, out the gate, I was like, okay, I don't have to make as much as you now, right? And so then what happens next? So what happened next was I said, okay, now I want an apartment. So that took me like another 6 months to find an apartment. Friends found apartments right away, $1,200 a month for a really nice apartment. I said, I will wait until I find the right apartment. And I found one. It was a home. A woman owned it, and she owned a daycare center next door. She didn't need the money. She just wanted somebody nice to live next door. So I asked my sister. It was a two bedroom house, a small house. I said, "Do you want to move in with me?" Rent was $1,100. She said, "Sure." So now, friend, $400 for a car. Me, $52. Friend, $1,200 for an apartment. Me, $1,100 divided by two, $550. So now my life is costing me $600 for the same thing she had. Car, home, like my own place. Now you're paying $1,600, $400 for the car, $1,200 for the apartment. $1,600, $600. Similar life. And so that's how I've always lived my life, is that I always have what other people have, but I had figured out how to get it on a discount. And so that's why I don't have to make as much. So even though I wasn't making as much as a teacher, within my first almost 3 years as a teacher, I had accumulated, because by then I had gotten my, I started making like the $35,000. I accumulated about $40,000 in like 2.5, 3 years of being a preschool teacher. And then I bought a home at 25, where most of my friends who were making way more were still broke. They were like, "How do you have 40,000?" You know, it was because I had made careful choices to get what they had too, but to do so at a discount. We all have discounts in our life, just most of us don't take advantage of that.
That was smart. I've never had a car note. People are blown away.
Me either. Never, ever. I've never, ever had a car note. I'm on my second car. I bought it in cash. So the first car, it was $5,000. Second car, $4,000. And the next car that I get will probably be more money, but I'm going to buy it in cash as well.
Exactly. I was getting my degree, and my cousin's like, "You're a doctor. You need to drive." I said, "No, I'm going to drive this little car till the wheels fall off." And when I stopped driving that car, it had stopped running. And I gave it, because what I discovered, because I literally was leaving for California for a month the next day. And I said, "I don't have time to deal with this car. I'm leaving it right here. Just don't worry about it." I didn't worry about that car for almost a year. And that's when I figured out, you know what? I don't need a car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why am I paying car insurance? We don't even drive the car.
Yep.
And I mean, as you know, because you do a lot of brand ambassadorships as well, I've been given cars to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I paying car insurance for a car that I'm not driving? Because I think out of a whole year, I might have drove my car 6 weeks.
It's not worth it.
Exactly. I said, this is making no sense. I'm paying a lot of money in car insurance unnecessarily.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we moved on. We moved on and got rid of it and was like, okay. So you've bought a house, and that's great. You lived by yourself?
Yeah. Yes. The house I bought all by myself.
Okay. And so, no, I was saying, because like they encourage people here in Chicago, especially, to buy a 2-3 flat so they can rent out part of it. But this was a single family home?
Yeah, this was a condo. It was a two bedroom condo. And I said, "Oh," I was so excited. I was like, but the problem was I bought at the right before the recession hit. So it was like coming, and I bought right before. So I bought it. Then here we enter into the recession. Then all of a sudden my condo's not worth what I paid for it. And I lost my job. My school was a nonprofit-based school, and they lost their funding during the recession. So I lost my job.
So when you lost your job, well, first of all, I will say that finance people have told me it's harder for people to get you out of a house than to get you out of an apartment if you lose your income. Yeah. So did you find that to be true?
Depends where you live. In New Jersey, they can't just kick you out. Like literally, so many people lost their homes. It took them, I want to say 5 or 6 years before they finally came and took my house.
Okay.
So because you have to basically wait in line, you have to go to court. If there's foreclosure court. But in other places, literally, they're like, "Yeah, girl, so you missed one payment. The auctioneer will be here on Tuesday." So depending what state you live in. Okay. But in Jersey, it's not so. It took a while.
So you lose your house. So now you go back you went to your sister's couch, right?
Well, one, I lost my house, and I didn't lose it. I just was like, okay, I can't afford it. What do I do so I can still continue to pay my mortgage? So I rented it out. I moved home with my parents at 30. I just turned 30 that year. I moved home, and I said, okay, I'm going to rent out my condo. And this was a lesson that I learned that I will never do again, that I will never buy a property that I cannot rent for more or equal. Meaning my mortgage was $1,660. The rent that the market would bear was, I think, like $1,300 or $1,400. Meaning that, like, so if I would have gotten my mortgage down to, say, $1,200, I could have rented for 14, kept 200. But now I'm still out of pocket $200 a month for a house I can't even live in. So I rented it just to keep up with the mortgage. I moved back home with my parents. And for like 2 years after not living there, I was still able to pay the mortgage based upon getting rent. But I was paying out of pocket, but I wasn't making any money. So I was living off unemployment, paying my $200 a month for my mortgage, out and the money I was getting for my for rent, paying my mortgage company until basically I ran out of money. And then when I ran out of money, I moved in with my sister, and then that's when I found out that in New Jersey that I stopped paying my mortgage, and they didn't take the house. I was waiting. So then once I stopped paying my mortgage, after a while, they wouldn't when I started making a little bit more money, they wouldn't take my current mortgage payment. They wanted all the back pay plus the fees. I said, well, I don't have that. So it was honestly a blessing because somebody was paying rent, and because my unemployment had run out. So I was literally living off my rent that I could not pay to the mortgage company because they wouldn't take it. So now that became my unemployment. So I got rent every month, didn't have to pay it out. They wouldn't take it. So I lived off that rent. And then I lived with my sister for a year until she kicked me out because she was like, girl, this is a 1-bedroom. Get your life together. I was like 32, and I remember being like, wow, is this really life? I went to school, got my master's, I'm smart. And 32 years old, I had less money at 32. I think I had like $125 left to my name. I mean, to my name. People say they're broke, but they have retirement. Or they say they're broke, and they have a little, no. I took the money out of retirement. I took the money out of savings. I literally had $132. I had more money at age 16 than I did at age 32. And I remember I was feeling really desperate. I did not want to move back home because I had lied to my parents and pretended like everything was great. Because I moved in with my sister pretending like, oh, life is good over here. I was like, wait, I don't want to move back home because my parents would have been like, what are you doing? Go get a job. And at the time, I was starting to build the Budgetnista, and I really believed in it. And I didn't want to give up on that dream just yet. And so I remember praying, quite honestly, and being like, well, really more angrily talking to God, saying, you said that if I did this, you got me. You got me, right? And I was just like, what is happening? And I just remember hearing this voice, or really just this feeling saying that I've given you everything you need to succeed. I've given you everything you need to succeed. And I was like, what do you mean? There's nothing. I have nothing. And then I started to think to myself, okay, what does that mean? So I started counting my blessings, literally writing down everything that I was blessed with. So I'm writing down everything, and one of the things I was like, I've got a pretty good network, and I know a lot of people. And then a light bulb went on. I was like, have you reached out to people that you know to tell them what you're doing with the Budgetnista? So I sent a mass email. I think I had 200 people in my Gmail, and said, hey, I've got this company, the Budgetnista. I teach financial education. I would love to do it for you. Because all this time during unemployment, and even when I was a teacher, I used to show my family and friends how to budget and how to save. It was something I was really good at. I learned it at home, and it was fun for me. I had written this book, The 1 Week Budget. It wasn't even a book then. It was just in a notebook. And it was something I used to lend out to my family and friends to read. And so I wanted to turn that into a business that I'd already been doing it kind of for free all this time. And I had volunteered at all these different places while I was unemployed. And so I emailed everyone, and only one person emailed me back. And she emailed me back to say, it was a woman from the United Way named Catherine. She said, hey, you emailed Amy. Amy's no longer in this position. I have her position. That was the email. And I was like, 200 people. Right? I was like, well, what do you do there? Can I meet you? And she was like, all right. So I met Catherine, and she loved me. And that day, she gave me my very first paid speaking engagement. She was like, yup, because I brought my book. Even though I was broke, I brought my book, The 1 Week Budget. And I was showing her, and I actually was working with her through her, because I was like, she was asking me basic questions, and the teacher in me just perked up. I said, well, girl, that's not how you do it. So we're literally doing her budget, we just connected. I'm doing her budget, and somebody said, just give her the book, Tiffany. Even though I was broke, I gave her the book, and she was like, could you do this for my staff? And I said, sure. She said, what about next week? I said, what about if you prepay now? Because I was broke. So it was $300. She paid me, and I used that $300 to scrape together with a little bit of money I had, and I rented a room in Newark, New Jersey. A room. A friend of mine was living in a house, and she was like, the lady's renting my rooms for $500 a month. So I said, okay. And so I got that money and put my 1 month. She didn't even need a deposit, thank goodness. 1 month's rent for that room, and that started it. I did that first speaking engagement for the United Way. The staff loved me so much. The staff that missed it wanted me to come back. I came back again.